Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sloppy Lab. I'm JT Russell, and I'm here tonight with the man who wants you to know that for a mere $34.57, you can be his friend on the Master Vault per month, $34.57 per month. And I am, of course, talking about QuickDraw 3457. Hey, QuickDraw, welcome.
Hey, it's good to be back. I feel like I've been gone forever, but I've been gone for 1 week.
Time flies, and
Time,
welcome to the
time
chat too.
flies when I'm not hanging out with you.
That it does. Although I know you were not having access to your decks while you were away from us, and I'm sure time was crawling.
Chaos ensued as soon as I go off the grid, like on vacation, virtually like no phone signal half the time. All of a sudden, I'm getting like pinged with messages about how like all of your decks could be stolen and like these doomsday scenarios from the Master Vault. I wasn't too worried. I don't really have anything that's like highly sought after by the community, but I
hmm
definitely went home and almost immediately scanned my favorites, particularly like my Hexad decks, things like that.
hmm
And I lucked out. 460 some decks and zero were stolen.
Hey, not bad. I will admit I've not scanned everything. I'm at about 10%, 10% scanned. I did the math too, and with the rate limiting on the kind of Master Vault API,
Hmm.
it's going to take me 2 or 3 hours to scan
Yeah,
everything.
I probably spent hour and a half over 2 sessions doing it, and
hmm
the rate limiting definitely got in the way. I was in a rhythm, like pulling things out and scanning them, and it's like one every 5 seconds. Definitely
Oh,
slowed me down.
there was that thing too with the with cameras not like uh, not focusing just right. Um, and I hadn't hit with it. I'm like, ooh, glad I'm not having any of these camera focusing issues. And then
Yeah,
I started experiencing it, and kind of like, well, I'm gonna slow this train down. We're just gonna put it
mm.
away and see if it clears itself up in a minute or two. But
I've actually had much more success with the Ghost Galaxy Master Vault than I did with FFGs. I thought
oh,
the camera and the scanners
thousand
way
percent,
better.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think part of that is too that maybe just the error messaging is better on the Ghost Galaxy one. Like I feel like the FFG one would fall over and just kind of be like, yeah, something went wrong. You're like, well, you scan like 5 times, something went wrong. Okay, but
Yeah.
at least the Ghost Galaxy one will be like, yeah, this is this 5 second window thing. Maybe you should get a coffee or something.
Well, the problem is you get a coffee, and it's not like you like can suddenly scan them faster.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't take takes more than 5 seconds to get a coffee. If there's something you could do in that 5 second period
Mm.
to like make it more efficient, but there's just not. It's just I can't complain. It took me a relatively short amount of time to scan all mine. Um, Happy to have that done. And yeah, you mentioned renting out Master Vault accounts. I guess you probably saw the latest episode of what's the new podcast that D House hosts. It's on YouTube. Um,
Ooh.
Shoot, I should have had this queued up. It's a gaming podcast. I just listened to it today, and they were kind of going through the different scenarios. I'm gonna find it because that's just not fair to those guys that I don't kind of like give them a shout out because they did talk a lot about the possibility of renting out decks
Yeah.
just to be like a friend in the Master Vault for a couple days. And it's an interesting question. Unplayable is the name of
Unplayable
the
from the chat. Thanks,
series.
Data Forge Stream 2. Yep.
Oh, I got it just at the same time. Thank you, Data Forge Stream. Yeah, Unplayable. It was a really good listen. They talked about it. I think it was today it came out. Cool episode. Give them a watch on YouTube. Um, but yeah, I mean, they seemed kind of concerned about the ability to rent decks out like that and rent out friendships. And I don't think it's an issue. Um, I think the way that they kind of went at that problem was like from the premise that there are decks that everyone will want to borrow or rent. And I don't know if I believe that. I think there are more good decks out there than we think there are. And I don't think everyone needs to borrow Pink Fraud in order to have a
mm.
chance at a Vault Tour. So I don't really think this is an issue.
Mm. I'm not super worried about it yet either. And I also, and here's the other thing, I feel like if it gets to a point where it's problematic, I mean, it's not like, it's not like Gigi's just gonna ignore if it becomes an issue. Like, so if it becomes an issue, it will not be an issue. It will cease being an issue as soon as it becomes an issue. Is kind of my feeling on it. I think they've shown that they're being responsive and trying to do the right things, and iterating's cool, and we'll get to a good spot when the dust
Yeah.
settles. So it's kind of not too
GG is
worried.
very good at iterating, I will say.
Hmm. Hmm.
They try something new, they take what works with it and what doesn't, and then they kind of change the parts that don't. So they've done a great job. It's not everything's been perfect. I'm very much lamenting our international friends who don't have
Yeah,
any wins of exchange yet. I think that's kind of normal though, from what I understand from a lot of these Game Found and Kickstarter kind of things. So we're not rubbing it in tonight, but we are gonna talk quite a lot about wins of exchange. Um, gonna share some of our decks. Probably pop this one here that's just dying to be opened on stream tonight.
hmm,
Um, so yeah, I feel for them. Hopefully, you guys can get some vicarious enjoyment from watching us
yeah,
pop these
totally.
open and talk about it.
And kind of on that note, we had all these really good like high quality content ideas lined up. And we kind of figure like, the world's kind of in a let's revel in winds of exchange mode. So we're gonna totally just we're just gonna do it. We're just gonna do that tonight. So that's what's on deck. There's gonna be spoilers. We're gonna be holding back nothing. So if you unfortunately are not in a position to be opening decks right now yourself, and you want to be waiting for one reason or another, then no hard feelings. If you want to skip this one, we'll see you on the other side. But yeah, that's what's on deck. That's what's
Yeah,
on deck.
and you have some data for us, some science in the video right now in the chat. You've already opened 3 displays, as I understand. You have a problem?
Oh my gosh! So I had 6 displays in total from the various pledges, and I had them all. I had all 6 sitting unopened up until yesterday. I was like, I'm holding out. It's gonna be fine. I'm gonna place some sealed with these. Gonna get lots of value out of opening them. Uh, and then I think it was I'm gonna blame Behawk. Behawk was like, you just gotta enjoy it. You're gonna get it through your system. So I opened one display, started going through them. I was like, I'll wait till I get something cool. And I kept getting cool things and kept opening more. And then one more display. And then we were like, you know what? We're gonna talk about it on stream. This is for science. This is for science.
Yeah,
Open one
right.
more.
I appreciate your sacrifice to the content here. It's someone's got to do it. I'm just thankful that it was you and not me.
Hmm. But to that point too, I started putting some of the info uh, from the decks that I was opening into a little spreadsheet. Uh, the stuff that I could get, programmatically very quickly is in there in complete form. The stuff that I was kind of manually inputting is only partially in there. But I think there's some interesting stuff nonetheless. So, we'll take a look at that. Maybe we'll look at some of our initial impressions too. And I don't know if we have any hot take updates. We'll see what we get to.
Man, I think my hot takes are coming back to bite me because I had said that I thought Saurian was going to be like the worst any house has been, and the reason it's coming back to bite me is not necessarily because I was wrong, but because I think 7 out of 8 decks I've opened so far have been Saurian, and only one of them I kind of like, and I'll talk about that one a bit later. And it's
Mm-hmm.
all thanks to the token that it comes with, which is a Saurian token.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm kind of hoping to slow the roll on Saurian in this. The rest of my 3 displays, 2.5, I guess I have left now, and this guy I'm really hoping is not another Saurian. Please
Not
help me,
another
not a Saurian.
Saurian. Mm-hmm.
Um, so in the data you come up with, like I think the first thing that I immediately asked you about, and I think you said is probably the most interesting thing, is the token generators.
Yeah.
How many token generators are people seeing? It looks like you've only been able to get through like 7 of these so far, and I also heard through Fabulousing and the Sanctimonious server that the average is somewhere between like 6 and 10,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a deck with 13, which apparently is extremely high. So I'm very pleased with that. It's one of my
Yeah.
namesake decks too.
That's cool. The handful that I topped out at, the handful that I counted up were came to 10 at the high end. Actually 12. I had one that had 12, and 3 of those 12 were also recurring ones. At least 3 of the 12 were also recurring ones. So let me pop that open real quick, and reminder again that this is spoiler town. So you've been warned. But in the Liquid on side. There are 3 copies of Higher On, which feels like a very reliable one to archive. At least for my kind of initial games and initial looks.
Yeah,
Um,
it needs 6 amber between both players combined, and
hmm
you archive it.
And then you archive it,
Yeah, that
and
seems pretty good.
and on top of that, you got the double Nyon outpost. So lots of recurring, reusable token generation, um, and on top of that, a token of appreciation feels really fun. So there's some shenanigans. Yeah,
Yeah,
spoiler down. Yeah, this is spoiler town, chat. We're doing it.
yeah. I don't even know what a lot of these cards do, and maybe some of the listeners don't either. So, just quick summary on these might be useful for the people in the podcast side. But Token
Mm-hmm.
of Appreciation, I just saw for the first time tonight when I was looking at your deck. Forge a key at +7, -1 for each token,
Mm-hmm.
and it also makes a token. So like that seems like a pretty good card, especially in a deck with you said 12 token generators here.
12 token generation generators,
Yeah,
and at least 6 of them reusable in some way or another.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty awesome. The deck I have with 13 also has some reusable stuff, and like I played one game, like a fishbowl game as I call it, just against myself with that deck, and it was an FOF transponder. I had 2 of them, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this card's insane. Like it never goes away. Like you put it on a token, and your token dies, and it makes another token, and it just keeps doing that. And then there is, I think it's called Big Magnet. It's a Mars action that moves all upgrades on table to a single creature.
Mm-hmm.
So you can just like put all of those FOF transponders on one creature, kill it, and make all the tokens. Like, and it just goes on unless they have bounce to get rid of that upgrade or some upgrade control. It seemed pretty crazy, and it's. I actually linked the deck to you if you want to pull it up real quick. This is my namesake deck that I'm pretty happy with. 13 generators, and the token is Scholar from the Saurian,
Oh, cool.
which is just a 1 power dino. It says Reap Draw card. And when you make that many dinos, like that many tokens, I'm pretty excited about the potential for that. I also have um, the one dino that says all your tokens come into play ready.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so there's a few ways to make them in Saurian, but that's also pretty useful for like the transponder. So like normally when your tokens enter play, they come into play exhausted, and if your opponent decides to kill your creatures and you have some transponders out, normally those would come into play exhausted, even if it's during their turn, so I wouldn't be able to use them. But with the Legionary Trainer on table, if they have a wipe, I can get two of those tokens into play ready like right away
Mm-hmm.
and use them. So it's been pretty cool. It's nice to have some efficiency through Saurian, which is something that we haven't really seen outside of Dilophosaurus.
So the efficiency coming from the scholar token, yeah, and that's cool. So you
Yeah.
can rule of 6 your token with the transporter if you need to fight repeatedly into something. Maybe get a reap at the end,
If they
right?
come into play ready, yeah, you
Yeah.
could.
So yeah.
It was only a 1 power. It's probably not a ton you can do,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, theoretically you could. If you want to churn your deck, maybe if there's something you want to get back to from the discard, that would be a pretty quick way to do it.
Interesting. Interesting.
Very
Mm.
cool deck. And the other thing I took away from this one is Zyzok, the Mars creature. It's just a 3 power with skirmish and splash attack 1. And if it destroys a creature with its splash attack, you ready it. And I've actually, in just 2 games, I've had a few cases where I could almost rule of 6 him. He's been really effective creature control, in my opinion. Really cool card. Um, Big fan of Zyzok because there's not a ton of like major wipes, it seems, in this set. There's a lot more of a focus on fighting and
Mm-hmm.
good fight effects. So I'm pretty pleased to see him. He's pretty cool.
Yeah. The Zyzok looks really nice. Really nice. I'm excited about that. And I really like the Legionary trainers too. That's very cool with an in-house token, especially for the trainer. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is the only Saurian that I really like, the package I really liked. There's one epic poem in here too, which is good. I feel like an epic poem is like a must-have in any Saurian deck. Um, the 2 symposiums are also very good with the scholars as well. Might be able to quickly rule of 6 and draw some more. So some really cool potential in here. I'm pretty excited about this one. Welcome, Ketzer. Talking about fighting.
Welcome. Yeah, indeed.
We had a precursor to this a couple weeks ago, and now that we have our Winds of Exchange, and I've played like 5 games maybe, fighting is back. Fighting's pretty awesome.
I'm gonna update the update the stream title just so folks are got a heads up on the spoilers present. Spoilers present.
There you
Um,
go.
yeah, have seen a couple decks from among my three displays that make good use of Epic Poem. A couple multiple Epic Poem decks. Um, some paired with the Spider that's been around since Coda, but I can't think of the name.
Ether Spider.
Ether Spider. So that's
Yeah.
fun. So that's fun. Uh,
I
y-
played against a local who had an Ether Spider, and he had um, this Mars artifact that says each of your Mars creatures gains destroyed. Stack that card underneath this
mm-hmm.
artifact,
Yep.
and then an action to destroy the artifact and take all the creatures underneath it into your hand. And he had a Mars token with it, so he could like get all of his tokens and all of his cards back into his hand. He had two of the Mix the Tall Minded, which says keys are +1 for each Mars creature. Get those back. He had an Ether Spider, which obviously captures a ton of stuff, and he has a Resonator, and he had two of those artifacts. So like his Mars just never went away,
Mm-hmm.
and he had a decent number of token generators. Super cool deck, like just Mars flooding, which is awesome to see after so many sets of them being gone.
Yeah.
Everyone loves the good Mars flood.
They're coming back in force, and I mean this maybe segues kind of nicely into our first true content prompt of the evening, right? Is there a token meta incoming? Like, do you think this is going to be a thing? Is it a gimmick? Like, what's your first impression there?
First impression is that it's definitely a thing. Like when we look at the last few sets, some of the like the special stats that people are interested in looking at,
Mm-hmm.
mass mutation was how many mutants do you have, and dark tidings was how many tide raisers do you have. Now we're going to be looking at how many token generators do you have, and I think that question of how many token generators is a way more important one than either of those questions in mass mutation or dark tidings. I think it's going to have a way bigger impact on the meta than mutants, despite having like Dark Amber Vault, Kurzap, really good cards like that. I think this is huge. I really do think in my first impressions that people are going to be really seeking out decks that have 10 plus token generators, especially when they have a good token involved too.
Totally. I'm inclined to agree with you. And one of the things that really stood out to me, and part of what prompted me to make the spreadsheet that we're looking at on the stream with some of the different stats among the decks that were in my pool. Um, Not only did it feel like there were a number of decks that were producing large numbers of tokens, and I've got a couple in the 10 range, one in the 12 range from just one box, right? So one box, there's already a couple that are making 10 plus tokens. Um, but not only were they making lots of tokens, but also their creature count was lower. Um, I saw a lot of 14, 15 creature count, 13 creature count decks. Overall, the average came to just 15.8 as opposed to 17. Um, but it could kind of strike me that I was seeing lots of lower creature count decks, 11, 13, 14.
That might be by design with the tokens.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, so you not only get the benefit of the board presence, but you're also seeing some of these more actiony type cards that are giving you maybe an additional rider. But that kind of hit me because I was, folks had been saying, well, Quixel Stone's going to lose some punch because these tokens are going to get around it. I was like, well, yeah, but you're going to have a lot of token generators that are creatures, and maybe that's not such a big deal. But it's interesting to see that not only are we seeing decks putting out lots of creatures, but also probably doing so despite having lower creature counts. So, yeah, we might see big boards, but you might also experience, things like Scrambler Storm or Stealth Mode going up in value too, if there's a slight shift in balance towards actions as well. I don't know.
Yeah, it is interesting to look at the lower creature counts and then also look at how many Ember Pips do you have, and then how many tokens can you make. I feel like those three, they kind of you're going to find some weird identities of decks, I think, that have a ton of tokens, low creatures, and then a lot of actions for pips, because you have the potential of playing an action forward deck that's not focused on the board, or the possibility of making a big board with tokens anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
some weird dynamics I think are going to happen with this set, and I'm here for it. I think it's pretty cool.
Very cool. And maybe a premature segue, but I've been thinking. I'm sure you've been thinking about what you're going to play at the Archon Vault tour that's coming up in Philadelphia. Yeah.
What makes you think that I'm not playing an Alliance?
Without going one way or the other, Archon or Alliance. Maybe you've been considering either way, um, but I thought I knew what deck I was going to be playing. I've probably got three contenders, but one of the ones on my short list features Quixelstone. Actually, I'd say probably two feature Quixelstone. One is really a Quixelstone deck, and the other is a deck that has Quixelstone in it. And I almost like the second one better because it kind of wants to play creatures, and maybe even happier laying out a Quixelstone and letting an opponent use up its creature slots with tokens and letting me play like quote unquote real creatures, you know?
Mhm.
So I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out. I think it's going to be a really new dynamic. I think the token meta is tokens are going to be a presence in the meta and a defining characteristic of it. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how it casts a new light on things like Quixelstone. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've definitely considered. So I am going to Philly to play in the Archon Ball Tour,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought I had like a short list of four decks, maybe five that I'd consider. And my hot take after playing a few games of WoE is that I'm actually like scratching off a couple of those. Kind of sad to do so, but I do think that the tokens are really important that you can handle them. And I have some really good decks that I don't think can handle them. One of my favorites of all time, Anakim Dark Tidings deck. It's a rush deck, but it's a little low on the C, and I worry about that up against tokens.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm I've downgraded that one as a potential. I do have a really good Worlds Collide deck with a lot of creature control that I've been kind of waiting for Winds of Exchange to come around because I do think it's going to be really effective against it. So that's one I'm considering. We had a chat the other day about Chronophage and the new Omega rules. Chronophage really kind of wrecks tokens, but it makes it very tricky to play with and against. I would just encourage everyone to go read the Omega rules very carefully because it gets kind of crazy. It's not quite the same as I think that it used to be when like it first came out in AOA when it was a little simpler.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a Chronophage deck I'm considering, and then other than that, like I fully expect to strongly consider some of these Winds of Exchange decks for the Vault Tour. I think a lot of people would too.
Okay, that was the next question, and one from Zoc in the chat. Yeah. Do you have any? Well, maybe not yet any WoE decks on your list for consideration, but what do you think the likelihood is that you may end up playing a Winds of Exchange deck at the Vault Tour?
I think if I had to put a number on it, I'd say it's 50-50
Really?
whether I play Winds of Exchange. I do think it's that high. I haven't
Wow.
opened anything that I'm like really that high on, but everything just feels like it's always putting out threats. Like we've talked about that on the show before. Like you always have to be creating threats, and I feel like Winds of Exchange does that through larger boards, very quickly replenishing boards, pretty powerful creature effects that are on the board. Not powerful though, like a Deocilis type powerful, but really just like consistent value from like big bodies. And you've got like some decks with like two or three brick nasties, and like if you have to play creatures against those, you're in big trouble because the Brobnar stuff can get really crazy with the right synergies. And I think there's going to be a lot of decks out there that exist in Winds of Exchange that can really have like a great package of that stuff. But not just things that rely on fighting, for example, because you can play around that. But I just think there's so much value around. Like we've heard rumors of like decks with 20 plus Amber Pips in them,
Mm-hmm.
and so like you could have all this kind of stuff. Like I feel like the set the Philly Vault Tour is going to be like a real awakening of it because I don't think anyone knows what it's going to be like going into it, and that's super exciting. It's also a little bit scary because like someone could bring something totally broken that no one's seen before, and that's pretty cool on one hand, but also it's like, man, like this is the first Vault Tour in over 3.5 years, and it could be like this crazy meta that like it's just all jacked by some crazy broken decks.
Yeah. I it's on my radar of things to think about. I'd be very surprised if I ended up playing a Winds of Exchange deck. I mean, I'm open to it certainly if the right deck came around. But yeah, I have to imagine that a lot of people will, if only for the novelty of playing the new set at the first big event, the
Yeah.
official OP kind of thing put out for a while. Aside from a Keyforge Celebration, but first Vault Tour really. Um, I have to imagine that a lot of folks will roll in and kind of play whatever looks fun from Winds of Exchange too.
Yeah, I think there's it's interesting because I'm in some other circles of Keyforge where some of the players have went away for like 2.5 years, and I think a lot of players who have some really great Coda and AOA decks, who are great players and have amazing decks, kind of left the game after Worlds Collide. And I think with the game being revived, I think we're going to see a lot of them come back as well. And so I think there's going to be a lot of old school players at the Vault Tours as well. And so I think there's going to be like a weird mix of like players who haven't played in 3 years or 4 years, but are amazing players, and they have these old school decks like Jenka and Double Generosity, Key Abduction, things like that. And then also you're going to have a lot of players like us who have like been diehards throughout the pandemic and playing on TC all the time. Big online names, so to speak. And then you're going to have other group of players who are more casual, maybe like haven't gone away, and they're gonna like maybe dive right into WoE. So like we're gonna have a good mix, I think, of like some mass mutation, maybe dark tidings, some old school stuff, and I think a lot of WoE. But it's gonna be so much fun to analyze this and hopefully get some data from the first Vault Tour and see like what the mix is.
Yeah, totally. I'm really excited. I'm really excited. And yeah, some notes from coming from the chat. Data Forge stream saying control the weak and big disruption could do well versus woe. I think that is very true. And I also think there is a place for your kind of like typical mass mutation better strategies like crush or just high efficiency going for volume of cards. I've seen a lot of really really good stuff out of WoE so far, but it does efficiency differently, and I wouldn't say I've fully like taken to the lab how our previous notions of very efficient good decks match up with very kind of efficient WoE decks in the way that it does efficiency. Um, so I think that'll be interesting to see. That'll be interesting to see too. But yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
you were
excited.
showing a Mollusk Collar deck earlier. I have a Mollusk
Uh-huh.
Collar deck too. And how do you feel about the Strange Shell? It's like a creature that cannot fight or reap. It's got 2 armor, 1 power, and it has an action. You can take it back into your hand. Um, that to me, like just looking at it, looks like the different kind of efficiency that you're referring to, where you're not just drawing cards or you're not just archiving cards, but you're making these tokens to cycle your deck faster, and then you have something like a Strange Shell that will let you very selectively pick and choose which cards you want back into your hand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are a lot of really interesting opportunities for deck crafting and hand crafting. Um, the Strange Shell, I'm very curious to see how this plays out. I mean, big windfalls of cards on the back of coming right on the back end of a big token appreciation key for discount. I mean, could be really strong, and paired with a lot of frankly, what I would be surprised to see, oppressive disruption out of Unfathomable in this set. I mean, I think
Yeah,
this is a big set for Unfathomable. I mean, it feels like I don't know where we rated it on our list of houses before. We might
good
be embarrassed if we
question.
go back and check.
I'm going back to check right now. I want to see. I think I had it pretty high. Um, I did just look at this earlier too. Um, Here it is, Winds of Exchange hot takes. You had Unfathomable third. I had them second.
Okay.
So I feel like we're appropriately high on it. I was pretty high on Equidon too. I don't know. I've only opened one Equidon deck so far, so I don't know if I have any details or information to kind of change my opinion on that yet. But Unfathomable, you're right. Like the disruption looks really insane there. Like there's a card that says like destroy your own creature. If you do, you look at opponent's hand and discard a card from it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's insane. Like such a strong ability. And then you combine that with some of the other actions that's like name a house. Your opponent can't play cards from other houses. Like that's another insane ability. Like the things that it can do, like it has these different types of disruption. I think it's the best disruption we've seen since Coda Dis.
Yeah. So Abyssal Sight is the destroy a friendly creature, and if you do, you look at your opponent's hand, choose a card from it, and they discard it. And then Befuddle, yes, is the choose a house, and then choose a house on your opponent's identity card, and during their next turn, they cannot play cards of other houses. So no whirlpool and choose an off house shenanigans with this one. But you can still kind of really constrain their options out of hand to get out of a tight spot. Yeah, I in the 12 or so decks that I've opened have seen unfathomable pods, I guess we'll say, that feature multiple of both. And it's just
Hmm.
like, oof, these are going
Yeah,
to come out in force. Yeah.
yeah, and there's still the illusions of grandeur, which
Mm-hmm.
is a different type of disruption slash like maybe rush. Some crazy stuff. Yeah. The deck you're showing also has a back to the efficiency for a second. It Kaboom.
Mm-hmm.
You might think Kaboom is not really efficiency, but if you have a bunch of Mars tokens and there are like a bunch of random cards, like five, six of them, you play Kaboom, you suddenly archive all of those random cards along with your Mars creatures, um, and you gain three chains. Like to me, this might be the best wipe in the set. I'm not sure. This card has been really good for me so far, and if you have a lot of ways to make tokens, it gets even better. It actually like really makes up for those three chains immediately in that efficiency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely not going to disagree with you. I think yeah the wipe capabilities. I mean, we have the Brobnar one. That's very good. Champions Challenge is also present. I like that one, but
It's a
uh,
good one.
there's potential for abuse in Kaboom. Actually, funny, my Champions, the one deck I think that I've opened Champions Challenge uh, in has a Legacy Loot the Bodies, which is kind of fun,
Yes,
fun retro combo. Um,
it is.
but yeah, I like Kaboom a lot. I think I'm happy to see one. I feel like multiples I would be maybe not as pumped about.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I agree with that.
but very
It's good to
cool.
have that though. I think I've found in 10 or so decks that it's kind of harder to find wipes and harder to find a lot of targeted C,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is, you do have to focus more on fighting. And I think this is a super I hope this is a super healthy direction for the game. I do have a bit of a worry that they overshot the power in this set a bit. And that's just a very early opinion. And I've literally not played cross set yet at all. It's all been like in set. But I've had so many like bursty turns where I'm either able to like wipe the board and build a huge board, or I'm able to make a ton of amber. It's just able to do things that feel like if I could do these, in older sets, it would be very strong. So I'm kind of like, man, the set might be really, really, really strong and in a not so good way.
It's interesting, and this was kind of a question I had for us to consider too. I mean, it makes a lot of sense for them to push the power level. It's the first set since the game's been on hiatus. We want folks to be excited, cracking new decks that are going to be relevant, right? So it makes a whole lot of sense. There are definitely a lot of cards that are visibly upgrades, right? Like Infomorph looks pretty shabby next to the plethora of three upgraded creature, right? Like Gloriana's Attendant. Like, okay, there is just a better like two Amber Pip upgrade plus another thing, like.
And isn't it like on a 3 or 4 power creature?
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
I was talking to my brother earlier too, and he kind of commented like, I don't have the raw stats. We were looking at small data sets here, but it does feel like overall creature power may have bumped up a little bit too. Often my token feels like the weakest thing on board, which is usually what happens when I have like 3 copies of Pale Insignificance.
Yeah. Yeah. There is a lot of anti synergy in the set
Mm.
too, I will say.
Particularly around the board control, for me it
Yeah.
feels. Um,
hmm Uh, Adult Swim was another one.
mm-hmm.
Typically with Adult Swim, you're going to have a lower power tokens on the board. Kind of messes them up too. At least you're not necessarily drawing back into creatures like you would, um, but it just puts all creatures of power 3 or less on top of each player's deck in random order. Um, but yeah, that and Pale into Insignificance, they're really like, I don't know, they feel like they are hitting yourself more than your opponent, especially if your opponent's not playing Winds of Exchange.
Feels like one you're gonna have to work to maximize on. I mean, we probably would have said the same thing about infighting. Maybe not. Maybe not. I think Adult Swim and Pale Insignificance, from my initial ones, look like a little bit more foot gunny than.
Yeah, I'd probably compare them to Regrettable Meteor. They feel
Okay.
like Regrettable Meteor,
Yeah.
where it's like, as a Saurian card, you're like, okay, this is probably going to hit all my Saurian creatures, with some exceptions. But yeah, that's kind of what it feels like. And Regrettable Meteor's fine sometimes, uh, in a pinch, or maybe it's a discard, or at least it's a pip or something like that. But I do get the same feeling from a lot of the stuff in Winds of Exchange too.
So this is interesting. I am looking at this deck, this Mollusk Collar deck with the triple Hieron. Uh, Obviously, the Strange Shell coming in as the token has power of 1. It's going to get tucked with Adult Swim. But outside of that, a lot of your unfathomable creatures that are low powered are probably coming with poisonous or poison too, which is kind of neat, right? Just kind of going through quickly here. I've got the Skullback Crab, and I guess if I'm gearing up to play Adult Swim, okay, I could steal one more, or I could run it into a larger creature that would survive and not gum up my draws. But everything else, unfathomable wise, is higher. But yeah, totally. I have a lot of like, okay, this is a cleric deck or a disciple deck, and there's like, yeah, 2 copies of Pale Insignificance plus Adult
Yeah,
Swim. Like, well, okay.
yeah. Or like, did they bring Warrior's Refrain back? I don't think so.
I don't
Stun each creature of power
don't
3 or
remember
less.
Warriors
Yeah,
Refrain.
I feel like there's a few other ones that really affect low power creatures that are kind of a bummer in the set with tokens. But like that's part of the balance. Like not everything's going to be perfect synergy and all good cards. You need to have bad cards, and it's been a hallmark of Keyforge is that the bad cards are actually like great design because you're never going to have a deck full of 36 great cards. You're always going to have to figure out what to do with that bad penny.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think one of the I'm sure I've said this like 6 times at this point, but one of the things that I fell in love with first about the game was its artwork and overall aesthetic, but also the fact that you had to make do with some of these bad cards, and it really felt like, yeah, early '90s Magic the Gathering, where you couldn't just look up the best list and buy them and fill them out. It was like, no, you played with whatever you happened to have opened, and you had some bad cards in there, but you rolled with it. You rolled with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. You and I talked a lot about borrowing some topics for this podcast from Mark Rosewater and a lot of his
Hmm.
design articles. And I remember reading one about the importance of bad cards in a CCG and specifically Magic the Gathering. And this is a different type of game. There's different reasons for bad cards, but um, just reading that really kind of opened up, my thoughts to why do we have bad cards and what benefits could they have? And instead of just looking at it like this is a bad card, they shouldn't have made it and move on, there's actually valid reasons to make bad cards in various games. And I believe the example he gave for Magic the Gathering was you have to make bad cards because when you have these creative players who are trying to look at something, they're like, man, this card's really bad, but like what could I do with it? And they think
Hmm.
about it and they have to figure out what to do with it, and sometimes they're just bad cards and there's nothing to do with it. But that possibility, of like some cards you need to just take time to figure out, really kind of deepens the game for a lot of people. And when you do find one of those cards that is looks bad, but it actually has some really cool synergies you can build with it, it's that much more rewarding. And I think there's similar things in Keyforge happening. Like you have Carl that has a Soul Snatcher and bad. Or do you have a bad penny? You don't have a bad penny in there.
I wish I had a
You
bad
wish you had a
penny.
bad penny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that kind of stuff is like it's kind of the same principle where it's like, man, this card is really terrible and I wish it wasn't in here. And then you realize, holy crap, I actually have a great combo with this bad card. And that's like just a great thing about the game. So
Hmm.
that's a bit of I don't know, side note, aside discussion branching off from WoE, but I think it's relevant here too.
Totally. And I mean, WoE is going to be a thing that folks are bringing to adaptive once, it's a thing on TCO. And, I'm sure the next CAGI League is going to feature plenty of WoE decks. Like having things like Pale Insignificance or Adult Swim plus low powered token is a thing you're gonna have to wrestle with when the deck gets shipped to you, and uh, and so they provide opportunities for testing skill. They also provide opportunities for, you know, learning what's a good card and what's a bad card. So you know, if they're all good, there's nothing to learn, and we
Yep.
need some gradation in the power level for sure.
Yeah. Not that Adult Swim is bad. It's actually a great card.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You just have to be careful when you play it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right on. So yeah, in terms of, you know, did they push the power level too far? I'm not sure. I think the set's doing some very strong things, and I'm very excited about some of the things that I've opened so far. I don't. I'm definitely not at the point where I'm like, okay, we've invalidated all prior sets, and there's nothing kind of relevant to play anymore. I've definitely feel like my top, what I considered my top decks are still, well, it's still going to be kind of relevant and Archon worthy, C worthy. Um, at least given what I've said so far. But you know, there are a lot of folks very hot on WoE being better by press sets than a wide margin, and we'll see how it shakes out. You know,
Yeah.
maybe we'll be wondering how we could have missed the boat on after Voltor Philly when we just all got creamed by by some big token nonsense. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe more applicable to a lot of the viewers if they can't make it to Philly or other Vault Tours is I know we have a lot of NKFL players here.
Mm-hmm.
How many of your Hexad decks do you think next season for NKFL starts August 7th? So there is still some time to sign up, trying to set the record again for most participants. So if you're listening and you haven't played before, um, this is a great time. It's an awesome league. We talk about it a lot. The NKFL podcast has a lot of detail on strategy in it, and we've talked about it a few times. But um, with the six decks, I have a feeling that a lot of people are going to be bringing at least two or three Winds of Exchange decks to the Hexat as well.
Okay, and it wouldn't be an episode of the bottom of the beaker if we didn't talk about Rector. Does Rector get better or worse in a WoE meta?
I haven't even thought about that. Um,
Oof.
I don't think it's worse, but I don't know if I'd say it's better either.
Okay.
Um, it still has things like the Coward's End. I think larger boards, even if filled with one power creatures, does slow down Gang or not. So there's certain things like that. Um, yeah, I'd have to think about that more, and maybe you and Not Tonight could play some games by post against your Winds of Exchange to figure that out.
Ooh, maybe we will. We've been enjoying those for sure, and definitely in those games that we've been playing by post, it has struck me how quickly boards refill. I don't know if you've been following along at all, but it's like, okay, I'm gonna wipe your
I
board, and then
have a
also
confession to make, JT.
you haven't been
Um,
following along. No,
I in our team's Discord server
you have one channel
that
muted. Don't even say
I have I have one channel muted.
it.
It's the play by post channel.
It's
I'm
not even the
sorry.
like bot spam channel. It's that one.
I might have that one muted too, actually. So yeah, maybe I do. But I just couldn't follow like the play by post. It was just like it was chaotic to me. And you know, I mean, I'm not in the game. Like you have your game set up, you're in the game space for it.
Hmm.
But as a viewer, like you know, would you find it very exciting to not have a board set up and watch two other people play a play by post game of chess?
I mean, studying play by post chess games is definitely a thing. I wonder if there's a way that we can make it more viewer friendly, or if that's even something to strive for. Like you could imagine having threads for like your updates, and maybe the main post is like the picture of the end state or something. And then if you want to scroll through as an observer, you're like, okay, like picture, dig into one
That's a
thing.
cool idea.
Maybe, I don't
Yeah,
know,
like a
but
picture of the board state at the start of the turn, end of the turn, and then
mm-hmm.
just thread inside that to say everything
Yeah,
you do.
yeah,
That could be good.
could be good. We'll see. Or we'll just keep doing what we're doing and enjoying it. We'll see. Um,
Yeah, I'm glad that Not Tonight gets to play with and against the Winds of Exchange.
Crushing me right now. At least in the last one, it was brutal. So we'll see. And she's only got one to pull from. Like, what's going on here? I don't know.
Stack deck.
I
I don't know.
guess. I guess. Yeah. Okay.
Uh, yeah. Well, I hope everyone gets their Winds of Exchange soon. I know we have a couple friends that still haven't got their email notifications yet, which is very disappointing. Kind of crazy. I have a local friend here in the U.S. who hasn't got his email notification yet either.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if anyone knows if the highest tier, I forget what it was called in the game found. Maybe those ones haven't gone out yet at all, which would be kind of surprising.
I
Does anyone know?
I don't want to spread rumor. Maybe there's someone in the chat has no better with authority. But at the risk of spreading rumor, I heard that they were working through the Ghost Galaxy folks caught maybe some like QC issues with some of the decks that were from the name decks, and they're like, "Hang on, we gotta fix this." And
Mm,
if you were in that group of folks for where they caught this thing, then it was taking a little longer. That could be complete garbage. I heard it somewhere. It's now okay. We got
yeah,
we
well,
got Data Forge Stream. If Data Forge Stream heard it too, it's as good as fact. It's not just a
yeah.
sloppy fact. It's a
I
Data
didn't
Forge
believe
Stream
you,
fact.
but now that Data Forge Stream says it, it's probably true. Yeah.
Yeah. So I suspect it may be something along those lines. And I'm also sure that the Ghost Galaxy folks are swamped and frantically trying to get all their ducks in a row. I mean, we have 9 ducks and they don't stay in a row, so they got a lot of
No,
ducks.
they do not, especially that Crusader duck. That Crusader duck
The worst duck.
will
If
not
you
get in
get in
line.
rows, yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm. Cool. Well, I have one deck that I just need to gush about a little bit, if that's okay.
absolutely.
Okay. Um, it is a 12 artifact deck. 12 artifacts.
That's
Like
insane.
that's nuts, right? Like we just played the ABR League where the cutoff for a janky artifact deck was 7 artifacts. This one has 12 quick draw.
Yeah.
Um,
And
yeah,
my favorite part about it is that it had two copies of the new artifact celestial something, celestial Gorm.
it is 2 copies of Celestial Gorm and 2 copies of the key cost increasing artifact.
Oh, jeez.
Heavy subsidies. So 2 copies of
Yeah,
heavy subsidies. Keys are 18, if you please. 18. Care not for your Ember Pips. Exalting is a fraction of the risk, right? Um, and not only that, but it's got Martyr of the Vault to bring your opponent down to 5 Ember. So you were working on getting to 18, sir. But no, you are at 5 now. Thank you very much. And not only that, but there's a light everlasting to bring
it's
things back
awesome.
down. Yeah, looking forward to playing this
Crazy,
one.
crazy deck. Like 12 is just so many artifacts. I don't
Lots
even
of
know what to think
artifacts.
about that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I have very few that have 7 that qualify for Jank Week. I mean, I have, enough to make some decent choices, but it's less than 10. And this like blows that out of the water.
Yeah, it was very strange and an outlier too among the ones I was looking at. I mean, I averaged what 4.2 and change, 4 and change artifacts, some in the 7 range. But yeah, 12 was quite high. Um, yeah, yeah. So looking forward to that. I guess while
Pretty
we're on
cool.
the topic of stats, rattle off a couple others. So across the 3 displays that I opened, I also saw 3 anomalies. So I was hitting 1 anomaly per box, which is pretty cool. Same for Mavericks. 3 Mavericks per box, and one of those decks had 2 Mavericks in it, and I only counted it once. So 3 decks with Mavericks in them across those displays, and 6 legacies. So pretty cool. And I did not open any antiquities dealers.
That's a bummer.
It's
That's
a
one
bummer.
that I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, that'd be cool. My brother opened 2 of them. 2 of them. What a jerk. What a
Now in
jerk.
stereo, I think has one for a namesake deck.
Yeah, that's super cool.
That's really cool. Yeah, and he has an anomaly in there too. I don't remember if it was lateral shift. It might have been.
Yep, it was a lateral shift. One of mine
Yeah.
was a lateral shift, which is actually in the high disruption, unfathomable package that I was describing before. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
Man, that's like an unfathomable card on crack. Like there's some
Yeah.
unfathomable cards that like look through their hand and discard the one we talked about earlier, but like look through their hand and play it with a lateral shift is still like the king of disruption. It's just insanely good.
So listen to this deck quick draw. 2 copies of Befuddle. That's the pinpointed discard, right? Targeted discard by you sacrifice a creature. 2 copies of Abyssal Sight. I'm sorry, this one, Abyssal Sight is the discard, right? 2 copies of Befuddle, which is the downgraded control a week, right? As well as 2 copies of Bubbles and a lateral shift. And a lateral shift on Saurian. There was an interesting trick here too. I forget what it was, but it was kind of replaying with the bubbles with, I want to say, may have been a different deck. I think it was an Equidon deck that lets you play a non-Equidon creature if you bounce a creature. That kind of kept looping bubbles. But anyway, double bubbles, double
Huh.
Abyssal Sight, double Befuddle, and the one that prevents. Da, 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 da. Well, we'll cut it there. But yeah, and a lateral shift. So
It's
very
pretty
cool.
awesome.
Very cool.
I'm very happy to see that anomalies are a little bit higher rate. I opened like one ever in Worlds Collide, and it's kind of a bummer. Like you want to open that fun stuff. Even though like lateral shifts and some of these other ones are extremely powerful cards, you still want them a little bit more often than they were in Worlds Collide.
Yes, and a sad cleric for token. Yeah, was that so? Do you recall? Was that something that was part of the Game Found campaign that they were going to bump up the rate of
Uh,
the spawn rate for anomalies,
you
or
know what? Someone had mentioned that earlier today, and I didn't know that or I didn't remember that, but it does ring a bell, and I don't remember. I'd have to go through all the stretch goals to see if that was something that was in there. Maybe someone in the chat knows. I wouldn't be able to look it up yet, but
Mhm.
that does sound a little bit familiar.
familiar? I mean, definitely whether or not there would be anomalies was one of the stretch goals that we hit, and that could just be what I'm remembering. Um, but either way, super cool one. It does feel like I was seeing Mavericks a little bit higher too, but maybe one per box is about right. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just
that's
remember
probably a
a
little higher.
little
Yeah.
higher. I just remember in the Worlds Collide era, I think I was in 100 decks before I saw an anomaly. I don't know.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
I had one in my first box of Worlds Collide, and I don't think I opened one after that. So 1 in 25 Data Force Stream says the Mavericks used to be. So
Okay.
there's more things that force them now. Like Frost Giant can force either a Legacy or a Maverick, or maybe both. And then Antiquities Dealer forces Mavericks, Legacy Mavericks. So there's more things like that that kind of bump it up. But I do think in general, just like natural Mavericks might also be up a little bit higher now too.
They could be. They could be. The Frost Giant is
Um,
very cool.
yeah, so I think if I don't know how close we are to wrapping this up. I want to throw a curveball at you,
Mm-hmm.
and I want you to just decide. Let me know what you think here. Since obviously we can't play Winds of Exchange yet in TCO, it would be a little weird for us to play a non Winds of Exchange game. So, like, what if we did a live opening freshie instead of playing the game? And I don't think that'd be something terribly interesting to the podcasters. But if anyone wants to stick around and watch us open one of these, we can do that. Or if you want, we can play a game.
I'm up for opening, and actually, I may crack
Ooh,
I may crack an Unchained deck. Why not?
that sounds fun.
So let's do freshies. You want the honors first?
I can do that. Yeah,
Why don't we talk?
we got a few sponsors we got to get to first.
We got our sponsors. Yeah, I don't think I had any other big big points to hit. I mean, this one was kind of for fun, kind of to just just roll around and enjoy some of the goodness that's rolling in, and celebrate that with all our folks who are here. And let's let's hear from our sponsor and move on, I guess. Unless you have anything else you wanted
No,
to. All right.
we
Well,
touched on it all. Hopefully, it was interesting for a lot of you guys. It was a really cool week of discovery for me with this set. I went on vacation. I got my package, and I immediately went on vacation. And so I could think about it, but I only opened a couple decks before leaving. So this whole week here so far since I got home has been about like opening one or two a day, um, and just kind of reading up on it and kind of refreshing myself. So it's been really exciting. Hopefully you guys can all get your cards soon and enjoy it with us.
Right on. Well, how about tell us your favorite name that you've gotten so far among your namesake ones.
Among the namesakes, yeah, that's a good one. I Let me pull these up. I think my favorite one it was inexorably magnificent Matteo Carulli.
Nice. I dig it.
I am I'm digging that one. That was a good one. The deck is pretty good too. It does have Saurian, but it's still a cool deck.
Are we going to see another Saurian deck tonight? That's the question. Yeah.
I almost definitely yes.
Nice. I'm going to say so. I collectively refer to my children as the Russell Sprouts. So
Love that. That's super cool name.
yeah. So we got I got a deck with Russell Sprouts seeded as part of the name, and Mutant Russell Sprouts was what came out, and pretty sweet.
Yeah,
Pretty sweet.
that's very fitting.
Yeah.
I wish I had got more creative with the naming like you did. That's a great idea.
It's I think I would have gone for more just kind of straight up Russell, but Russell's already in the algorithm, so I was like, yeah, I gotta mix it up a little bit. I didn't want to go for something that could spawn naturally, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I want you all to know that this episode of Bottom of the Beaker is brought to you by Buzzle Puffs Honeycomb Cereal, the perfect way to start your day in the Crucible. Buzzle Puffs, buzzworthy breakfast for all your key needs. Very nice. Thank you, Buzzle Puffs.
Thanks, Puzzle Puffs.
Thanks, Buzzle Puffs. And folks should also know that we record Bottom of the Beaker live right here on twitch.tv/sloppylabwork Tuesdays at 9:30 Eastern. Come join us. And check out recordings of our past shows and other streams over on YouTube, youtube.com. Search for @sloppylabwork there. Buzzle Puffs, indeed. And for the very best content, scrape from the bottom of the beaker, 34? No, 57 times. Search for that phrase in your podcatcher of choice, and you'll find us there, sharing in the woe with you. Yeah. Any other words for the folks getting off the last audio stop here? Quick draw.
It still amazes me that you forget how many times you need to scrape it from the bottom of the beaker every week. Like you have this great thing written out, and you know what you're doing, and then you just forget that number every single time. It's kind of weird. So everyone, including you, JT, just stay sloppy. That's all.
Stay sloppy. We should do an episode on memory.
That joke doesn't get old.
No.
It's so good.
Okay, cool. Well, without ado, let's see you open. Let's see you open this deck.
All right. I hope you guys are ready for some Saurian terrible nonsense. Probably some more Hestatus Raptors like I had the other day. I'm going to do my best with the camera setup I have. I know a lot of people like to have like an overhead, which I don't have. There's a nice little tab in the bottom left corner that sometimes works. It worked here, and then it kind of rips out, so not too bad. If that doesn't work, then you can kind of just pop it open normally. Anyway.
Salute to woe. Yeah. Skull.
Skull, indeed. And while we're talking about it, I believe there is a new episode of Zoc Tales tomorrow night.
I'm looking forward to it.
Featuring none other than Fudginator, aka Murph.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Tomorrow night, I don't know what time that is. 10:30 Eastern.
10:30 Eastern, probably. Yeah.
I think that's what it usually is. All right. So we have Porcius, the Marauder of Stan Michael, and we have a fish, which I kind of like the fish, to be honest with you.
I don't hate the fish.
I don't hate the fish. All right, so I'm gonna try to open this without looking at the list. And
oh, no dinos, no Saurians.
No Saurians. We lucked out.
Zoc's on it. All right.
That's right. I'm gonna try to open this, and the cellophane has been giving me fits. I tell you what.
There's a flap on the back of the deck. You can get your fingers under unwrap fairly easily. Yeah.
Thank you. I knew that. I was excited when I first saw that, like the new wrapping, because I had so much trouble getting open the mass mutations. I wish they would go back to the little red strip. So like this doesn't rip easily, and I feel like I'm going to damage the cards inside. This pack is not coming off easily. There we go. I got it.
So I have a funny story about the little red strip. uh, 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 I'll say a friend of mine who I went to a vault tour with last time, or another vault tour in Philly actually. I think it was a Worlds Collide Archon one. Played with the deck that they got in a bulk sale, and this deck was in a bulk sale probably just because of the little red strip. If not for the little red strip, the deck looked not so cool, not so assuming. But the card hidden, obscured by the red strip, was a Maverick too much to protect in Saurian that completely made the deck, and you like
Wow,
it's just like you just like couldn't see it till you unwrapped it, so it was kind of funny. But yeah,
that is
anyway.
cool. I have a one of my favorite Worlds Collide decks is a French um, Worlds Collide Brobnar, and the Brobnar has a Maverick Too Much to Protect in it.
I know the one.
It's a pretty sweet deck. A lot of fun. Gives some nice meaning to Brobnar and Worlds Collide to have a card like that in that. Um, Pairs pretty well with the Soul Snatcher too. All
Mm-hmm.
right. I haven't actually like figured out the order of the cards that they come in, so I'm just gonna go. I think from I guess the top, right? We
Give him
have
a
the fish
shuffle.
on top.
Give him a shuffle. You
You want
know.
to give him a shuffle? All right.
Yeah.
We're gonna show the fish first.
Okay.
Destroy, deal 2 to the most powerful enemy creature. So we'll set that one aside, and then we'll give it as a shuffle. So we have Unfathomable, Sanctum, and Star Alliance. I think that's kind of a cool combo. Um, Definitely, we talked about how much we like Unfathomable. Our friend and teammate Behawk was saying that Sanctum has kind of snuck up on him this set. He really feels like it's surprised him
Mm-hmm.
as a stronger house than he expected.
Yeah. What's the make a token then gain an amber for each token creature you've got? Um,
Uh,
I have high
is
hopes
that
for
a
that one.
Sanctum?
Yeah,
Is
it's
that a
like
Sanctum?
request donations or might be request donations.
The Shuffle Pop.
Membership drive. Thank you, Data Source
Membership
Stream.
drive. Great.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know what the Shuffle Pop is. Is that what I'm doing though? Like just shuffling this up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
This
Thank
is
you
the
to live deck bloggers of Sanctimonious.
and this is the Data Forge stream. We're honoring Data Forge stream with this. This is always a fun fun segment. Yeah.
All right. So I'm just gonna sufficiently shuffle this, I think. And let's just start from the top here. And to start, we have a excellent start. We have a Hymn to Duma. Um, Fantastic card. Each friendly creature gains Omni. I'm reading this backwards right now, so forgive me. Destroy this creature. A friendly creature captures 2. This is a rare, so super cool to start with this one. Um, Very excited where this can go. This has some great possibilities, especially since I have Star Alliance. If there's an FOF transponder in here, like a never-ending chain of capture and making tokens. So awesome start. Love to start with a rare like that.
You are very high on FOF transponder. It's like
Oh, it's so good, man. Like it's just like unless they have bounce, you have never-ending tokens. Like the card's so
better
good.
better or worse than the automatons.
It's better than the automatons
Okay. All right.
for sure. Yeah, automatons need a lot of synergy. I think the transponder is just a good card. It'll do things almost all the time. All right, next we have a enhanced Guilt Spine Netcaster with 1 capture pip on it. Old DT friend. Um, After reap exhaust a creature. We have a enhanced Skullback Crab with the damage. So it's got poison and then action steal 1.
Cool.
Not not a great start to the Unfathomable, but
I don't
you know,
hate the skullback crab. It's not. I mean, it's not flashy, but it'll
yeah,
fill a slot, I guess. Of the
yeah.
filler, it's not terrible.
All right, now we got another Unfathomable here. Sunk Cost, which I have to reread this one myself. But choose a house. Your opponent discards a random card from their hand. If that card belongs to the chosen house, make a token creature. Not bad. Not quite the disruption, but I don't hate a good discard.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we've got a Scout Chief Courageer. So lots of token making with that guy. Play, fight, reap, make a token. Um, cool card. I like it. Easy way to make tokens. Build a
Mm-hmm.
board.
Totally.
Crushing Deep.
Okay.
That's a pip. It's almost like an evil eye, but sometimes is better, sometimes is worse. I'm a big fan. I feel like when they have 2 keys forged. It's almost like a miasma. So pretty cool one. Oh, there's a good one. Back into the unfathomable befuddle.
Okay.
We talked
Befuddle's
about
good.
this one earlier. It's got a pip. Choose a house in your opponent's identity card. They cannot play cards of other houses on their next turn. Very good. Uh, the shuffle pop is like mostly unfathomable to start, so I don't know what to say about that. We got another DT classic, Grand Melee. Not bad. I feel like I've always liked Grand Melee. I think I was kind of a little higher on it than most people were. Um,
It did
I'm
work
cool
for
with
me in
that.
some decks. I feel like it's gonna be like a you keep all your tokens card in the set, but we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, another unfathomable. We've got a Dragnet. Got a
Hmm.
pip. Action: return a creature and each neighbor that shares a house with it to its owner's hand.
I mean
Pretty good.
that is a strict upgrade on fear, right? You got a pip on there. You may be getting
Yeah.
another one or two. Nice.
Probably is, yeah. And it works on your own creatures as well. So if I have 3 fish that have cards that I want in my hand, just pop them all back to hand.
Oh,
Not bad.
cool, cool, cool. And an interesting note on from the chat that we're helping out our grand melee with some of these
Oh,
bounce
yeah.
effects too. Yeah.
That's right. So you can just Omni kill your own creatures that kind of mess up your Grand Melee, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty solid.
Pretty cool.
Great card here. Capture Enhanced Grey Rider with new errata text.
Very
Excellent.
nice.
Great card. Oh, we got a Timothy. Timothy the Damned. Token generator. Play, make a token. While you control a token creature, your opponent cannot forge keys. Really insane card.
Seems good.
Hoping to find a ghost form in here. Uh, coming
Hey,
up, coming up next. And we have a Photon Blast. Some creature control. Deal 2 to a creature with 1 splash. If this destroys 1 or more creatures, make a token creature. Not bad. Token generation. Witch Killer. Pretty good.
pretty good.
A second Grey Rider.
They ride.
Not upset. A Fathom Reaver. I don't think I know Fathom Reaver. So unfathomable creature. Lots of unfathomable creatures in here. Play, make a token creature. While you control a token creature, your opponent refills their hand to 1 less card during their draw card step.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is like probably a better succubus.
Better, interesting, interesting. I
A
mean,
little higher power.
higher
Make a
power.
token.
Yeah, I mean, it gives them. I guess you figure that most of the time they're coming for that succubus right on their next turn, right? And even if they come for this creature immediately, you're left with a token. Seems fair. Yeah.
All right. We're down 14 cards so far. Not even halfway through this fun experiment here. We've got a Sanctum Battlefield Evangelist, 3 power, 2 armor. After fight, make a token. Not bad.
Mm-hmm.
I like the armor. Not bad to have. We have an Abyssal Sight. Love Abyssal Sight.
Awesome.
More fish disruption. Destroy a friendly creature. If you do, look at your opponent's hand and choose a card from it. They discard that card. Teamwork. Make a token. If there are more enemies than friendlies, archive it. A lot of token generators so far, right?
Mm-hmm.
Seems like it. Uplink. Another token generator. I have a deck with Uplink and Crash Muldoon, which I find to be quite good.
Very cool.
This creature gains action. Make a token creature for each of this creature's non-Star Alliance neighbors. Especially good since my token is not Star Alliance, so should be pretty easy to trigger. Tactical Officer Moon.
Oh, nice.
You take that Bryozoark and put it on your left flank.
And also, I mean, your Grand Melee is getting some coverage too. I
That's a good
mean,
point.
it's cool.
Mix them up. Very good. I love Tactical Officer Moon. In fact, if I could reach it, I would get my action figure right now,
There you
just
go.
off camera. I won't do it though. Really cool card. I missed it in DT. Another return from DT, Alms Master, 4 power, 1 armor, deploy taunt, play. Each neighbor captures 1. Cool card. Not quite as good as the Evil Twin, but beggars can't be choosers. Membership drive,
Mm-hmm.
one you mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Potential for some burst right here. Very cool with, as we mentioned, a lot of token generators. Um, Also cool because it kind of the Battlefield Evangelist. You think like, oh, if I fight, I'm not making Amber right away. If you have the Battlefield Evangelist membership drive, it's kind of an even sum, and you kill a creature at the same time.
And I like that. I mean, there's some real burst potential. I mean, I think it's going to be rare when it's not at least two amber, right? And it's they may try to get it with Infernus, but it's not going to be knocking you down there as either, right? So
Yeah,
that's
I'm going to
pretty
take a
cool.
quick pause to count how many token generators I have so far. That's two, three, four, five, 6, 7, whew, 8, 9. I'm up to 9 token generators already.
All right, I got the
That's
count
really
running over
good.
here.
15 cards left. You got to count for me?
I'm going to count for you. Yep.
All right, sweet. We have a recruiting station. This is Star Alliance artifact. Omni, choose a house, discard the top card of your deck. If it belongs to the chosen house, make a token creature. That's
Ding.
10. Um, so there's a few things that we're looking for. The what is it, the future booster,
Hmm.
right? Is that what it's called? We're looking for some synergy to peek at the top of my deck. Pretty cool for the recruiting station there.
I do like Future Booster. Yeah.
Hadroth's Wall. Each flank creature gets +2 power. Friendly. I like that card. Good friend Bubbles.
Love some bubbles.
I
Love some
feel like this
bubbles.
deck's gonna have like huge, unfathomable boards and just reap out. Yeah, I mean with the fish token, there's been a lot of Aquan so far.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Got to be close to the end of the unfathomable, but we're not because we have a second befuddle.
Okay. Awesome.
Dang, that's such
That's
a good
spicy.
card. That's really spicy. Unfathomable, living up to the hype this set, I
Mm-hmm.
think. Very cool. All right, we have a specialist Guthrak.
Oh, cool.
Skirmish, 3 power, Star Alliance. After fight, reap, capture one for each house represented among Specialist Guthrak and its neighbors. Oh, not bad. All right, we've got a Lightbringer Outpost. I like the outposts. This one's got an Amber Pip. Action, put a friendly creature on the bottom of its owner's deck. If you do, a friendly creature captures 3. I feel like there's a pretty good amount of capture in here with the, what's it called? The Hymn to Duma.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Maybe there's still room for a Whirlpool in here. That would be pretty clutch to open that one on stream.
The
We have a second Battlefield Evangelist,
I don't
another token generator.
I don't hate it.
I don't hate it either. Very cool with that. Um, Up to 11, is that right?
11 token generators. Yeah.
Very nice. Well, make it 12. We have a third Battlefield Evangelist. I'm pretty stoked at how many token generators I'm getting in my decks. Um, I was very excited when I was told that the average was like 6 to 10 and that 12 was on the high end.
Yeah.
So
Well,
pretty stoked about that.
12 and counting. Red alert.
Red alert.
Nice.
I don't think it'll come in handy very much, but you never know.
Token
Ooh,
fodder.
we've got a Gruntwork, another token
Oh
generator.
my gosh.
Amber action. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Put them back in any order. Make a token creature. Good synergy with that artifact we talked about earlier, which was, where was it? Recruiting Station. Discard the top card of your deck. If it belongs to the chosen house, make a token.
Yep.
So
Cool.
Gruntwork goes pretty well with that. All right, we've got 5 left. Whirlpool, not quite. Faisaloha.
Hmm.
Damaged creatures do not ready during the ready card step. I've got some damage pips spread out already. The fish helps with some damage as well, so not too shabby.
Mm-hmm.
4 cards left.
You're gonna fight.
Gray Abyss. Oh,
Oh, cool. So you're gonna be fighting with your token creatures or your evangelist too. Another token generator. Wow, 14.
another token generator. And this one is a good one. It is a creature. Play, make a token. Each friendly token creature gets +1 armor. All those fish get an armor.
Armored up fish. Let's go.
Look at this fish. Look how cool he is.
It's like spiky and armored. Does the
I'm a
armor
big fan.
spikes go through the armor? Is there like little spike holes in the armor? I don't know.
I don't know, but I'm just pretty stoked to have a fish with armor. I don't
Yep.
know. It seems pretty cool. All right, we got an Echo Reflector. Just a
Very cool.
solid upgrade. This will go well with the Evil Eye type card that I showed earlier. Uh, Upgrade, this creature gains your opponent's keys cost +3.
Okay, so
Pretty
we're still
solid.
looking for that ghost form. Yeah.
Still looking for that. These last 2 cards, it's going to be Ghost Form and Whirlpool. You ready?
Nice.
I haven't looked at these, so whenever I actually reveal these, it's going to be total coincidence. We got a Recorded History.
Okay, never sad for that.
Nope, it's a good one. You got a pip. Reveal up to 3 cards of different houses from your hand. Archive each card revealed this way. Um, Pretty good efficiency. And the last card, last but not least, do we have a ghost form? No, we have a second Echo Reflector.
Okay. Also very cool.
So, yeah, definitely cool. What is the final token generator count here?
I got 14. I got 14.
14. That's my personal high. I am really stoked about that. 14 of them is a lot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna count my pips real quick. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 pips. So that's like right in the range where I consider pretty solid.
Yeah, it's solid. I mean, you're gonna have a lot of fish to be reaping with. You got some cool disruption in Unfathomable too to give you cover, right? So really cool, really cool. Reap with the fish, throw it into the not befuddle. I blank on the name. The other one, the discardy one, but yeah,
I don't remember either. Uh, Abyssal Sight.
Abyssal Sight. Yep.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's a pretty cool deck, I gotta say.
Pretty cool.
Um, it's got a lot of capture to keep them off check. It's got a lot of taxing to make them pay for it once they get it back. It's got some creature control with the Grand Melee, with the fish. Um, I'm a fan.
Give me some wide boards. You got a lot of fish swimming in that
I
pool.
I
Yeah.
have been lamenting the size of the playmats. I wish they were like another 6 inches wider.
Mm-hmm. Have you so when you exhaust, do you full 90-degree exhaust or do you 45-degree exhaust?
Oh, good question. If I'm playing myself, like just in a small space, I'll probably just 45 them, or like sometimes just like I don't know, barely even touch them.
Little nudge. Yeah.
Yeah, a little nudge. But if I'm playing against another human being, I think I might go 90 degrees.
90 degrees. Yeah. I'm usually 90 degrees until we're at the edge of the playmats. Then I'm like, all right, we're gonna
Hmm.
45 now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sometimes I just like have a pile of creatures over there. Just like,
Like the wrap around the
yeah,
playmat.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's like 5 fish. They're just gonna put in one pile. They all reap.
I have like this phalanx of fish, and they've all got armor too, by the way.
That's right. And if you kill them, they're gonna ping your largest creature. So,
Yep. Yep.
um, awesome. That's a cool deck. I have yet to open a. Well, I guess I probably opened my Hestatus Raptors deck. I was like, yeah, that's not really that cool. But most Winds of Exchange I'm opening is just pretty interesting, new stuff. Pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right on. Very cool. We'll put a link to that one too. I guess the podcast folks we're not here for that, so maybe it doesn't need to be in the show notes, but we'll throw it out just for fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't scanned that one yet. Nobody steal it from me. But you have a Unchained deck.
Yeah, we could run through this. Do folks want to see it? Is that maybe?
Eh,
Yeah.
I definitely want to see it.
Okay.
I'm saving my last 2 Unchained just to play them sealed with some locals. I opened one of them already. My first one I opened was super sweet. It has a Unfathomable Amphora Captura and 2 copies of Dark Discovery and the rest of the combo. So I had a pretty cool one.
That's very cool. All right, so I'm not looking at, but this is the Kif Flare Spawn of Iridatum. Iridatum. So a spawn deck. Very cool.
Spawn.
Yeah,
You should oh, there's a flap on the other side. I don't know if you noted that.
there is, and
Like
there's. I'll
in
show
the
you the way I do
plastic.
it. I go underneath so I can kind of double back the flap under.
I feel like mine don't do that.
I feel like you're not trying very hard.
I feel like I'm gonna damage my cards if I do that.
Oh,
Um,
swap our video sizes.
yeah, you
Yeah.
should swap the video sizes. People are done looking at my big mug.
Okay. Slide this one up here.
2 honors Kisis and Ketzers unchained. That's pretty sweet
Yo,
too.
that's really cool. Okay. Okay. Boom. There we go. All right, so putting down the Archon card, swapping for a more interesting deck off camera. All right. Boom, boom. Oh, the token's in there too, so when we get to the token, we won't be too surprised. But there's a token in there. It is that one, which I have not internalized the name for yet.
Oh, that's the Raider?
Raider, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think the Raider's that good, but the artwork on it's really sweet. I have the Raider playmat too.
All right. Cool. So we are in business. Oh, there you go.
Perfect.
Raider it
First
is.
card.
So
What does
first
the
up,
Raider do again?
Oh.
Threw it on the floor. It's that bad, isn't it?
Raider gains poison during your turn. It's 1 power, Aquine creature, and yeah, that's its deal.
That's it?
Deal. Has some reminder text. My camera's probably not going to focus. We'll see how this goes.
Yeah, you have like one of those FFG Master Vault
I
app
was gonna say,
cameras, don't you?
I was gonna say this was my day. This is my day trying to scan decks. No. um, um, yeah, token creature, Aquine Raider gains poison during your turn. On your turn, any damage dealt by this creature, power during a fight, destroys the damaged creature. Yep, that's his deal. Fighting for value. Need to flip horizontally. Ooh,
Oh, it's
interesting.
showing you're mirrored on Twitch.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know if I've ever noticed that on Twitch before, but I don't usually watch your Twitch stream, so
um, okay.
I feel
What's
like that always happens with people hosting Twitch, and I don't know how to fix it.
Well, it should be fixed. Hopefully, it's fixed. You're gonna see my name. It was good with quick draw. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, there you go. You did fix it.
I fixed it on OBS, but my name's gonna read backwards. I probably need to fix it on Zencaster. Oddly enough, but we'll go with this for now. You'll get the good
No,
stuff.
I can see it. I can see you fine on Zencaster.
Ooh, a Night
All
Forge.
right.
Now I'm gonna always move it to the wrong side. Night Forge. If you have not forged a key, this turn you may forge at +4. A nice reprint there. Very cool. Ooh, a Hunting Witch. I'll
All
take it.
right.
Hunting Witch.
What
Good
are
old.
your houses? So you have Shadows, Untamed, and Unfathomable.
Yep. Shadows Untamed, Unfathomable.
Okay.
So if you play another creature, gain 1 amber. Another nice
So
reprint.
Hunting Witch does not trigger then for tokens.
Hunting Witch does not trigger for tokens. Correct.
Bummer.
Mhm. Yep. Yep.
Oh well.
Cooperative Hunting, which will take advantage of the tokens. For each friendly creature, deal 1 to a creature. Very
Is this
happily.
just a Coda deck? Did you just
It
open a Coda
might be
deck?
just a Coda deck. Was Nightforge? Nightforge was AOA. Was
Maybe
it Coda?
Nightforge wasn't. I don't remember.
Key to Darkness. Key of Darkness was definitely. But Dark Wave. Okay.
All right. It's a mass mutation, I think.
Deal 2 to each non-mutant creature. It's really
Okay.
interesting. I don't know how my how clear my video is focusing, but you can probably see that the text is all shoved over to the side to kind of make room for the shadow's watermark. I don't think I ever noticed that before.
Interesting.
Interesting.
If I pull up Dark Wave on DOK, what does it look like? It is definitely just going right over it. And there's some flavor text. Is there flavor text in yours?
There is a second one as well.
Okay. Weird. Yeah, that's interesting how they like reformatted the text box.
Yeah, to give some room for the watermark. Huh. Significantly less tubular. Quixo, Kehoe, the adventurer. Mm-hmm.
Data Forge Streams wants to know how are we analyzing our WoE deck effectiveness thus far? I don't know if I have a method. I've tried to play just a few games with what I could with what stuck out to me. I don't know if I have a good way of evaluating it though.
Yeah, I'd like to say I'm gonna throw it, throw some. We're gonna kind of sift through the initial batch and see what feels promising, and then maybe we'll throw it at a gauntlet of some of our other contenders. Um, it's gonna be a lot easier once things are ready on TCO. I think right now it's kind of in the
Hmm.
funsy zone. Once we're cooking on TCO, then we'll be more in the rapid game space. Um, yeah, I think we're closing in like the 20-ish cards that need to be developed still, Mark. Maybe a little bit more than that with a couple other hanging pieces. So some folks have been doing a lot of work on there. I think it's not too far off.
And some folks are just along for the ride.
Some folks are just along the ride. I've been trying to make like one or two cards a day, trying to do, but it's getting there. It's getting there. Okay, tempting offer. Nice reprint. Emperor Pip.
Okay.
Return enemy creature to its owner's hand. If you do, opponent gains one.
Where are the Mavericks, JT?
Gambling Den. Nice reprint.
Okay.
In
That's a cool
Shadows.
one.
This is cool, right? We did an episode on Gambling Den,
Yeah.
so that's fun. Crushing Deep. Okay, this is an Unfathomable. This is the key cost increaser. During your opponent's next turn, keys cost +3 for each forged key they have. Very cool. Okay, Skullback Crab.
Mm-hmm.
Still waiting on those Mavericks. Poison, action
Yeah.
still one power. Okay, Grove Keeper. Very fun. Beef
Okay.
up
That was
some of my
just
raiders.
AOA. Is that right?
uh, I want to say just AOA. Yeah,
I
I
think
think
so.
so. Was it in Coda? Do we have Grove Keeper in Coda?
I don't think so.
Taniwa. I'm not sure how you say that. Taniwa? 8 power. After fight, after reap, destroy a friendly creature and gain 1 amber, 2 armor. Just AOA.
I feel like Ketzer knows how to pronounce this one, if I'm
I
not
th-
mistaken.
I think so. That would have been my bet too. Kiri Guiltspine. Cool. 3 power elusive. After an enemy creature reaps, it does not ready during its controller's next ready card step. Tanifa.
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 The F.
Nice.
Thank you. Um,
Hmm.
Look, no pressure or anything here. Okay, I'm glad you made a face because I was just gonna be like, this is probably the most boring Unchained deck I've ever seen. So show us some spice here.
I'm not sure that was a, oh, here's the spice face. That was a, oh, interesting face. This is a more wolf. This is a more wolf Unchained deck.
Oh
It,
no,
yeah, it would be really funny though if there was just one more wolf. Like I would
that's what
not,
I'm hoping.
I would not be sad. You know.
I'm really hoping there's just one more wolf all by itself.
Okay, Bryozark. Interesting.
Ooh, all right.
Yep. Opponent of your opponent plays an action card instead of resolving its play effect. Destroy the creature on your left flank. Okay.
Okay, now a ghost form. Let's see the ghost form.
Horrid Sign-In.
It's a pretty
Four
horrid
power
card.
poison. Pretty vanilla. Illusions of Grandeur. Nice card.
Okay,
But
good card.
okay.
It's not a ghost form. That's all right.
A more wolf. There are more wolves.
Ah, okay, there are more
There are
wolves.
more wolves. Let's see. What do we got? A more wolf.
Okay, so we're up to 3. Do I need to keep a counter going? Like we might hit as many more wolves as I had token generators.
This card's pretty cool. This card's pretty cool. Amber Lucian. Amber Lucian's fun.
Hmm.
Hmm. Hmm.
Hmm.
Hmm.
It says enters play, right? Or you put into play?
Puts each creature from their hand into play ready.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So again, does not trigger the hunting witch.
But
Very sad hunting witch.
think of all the more wolves I could sneak into play.
And then do what with?
Ooh. Ooh.
Okay, all right. What do you got?
Ooh. What is this? Curse of Forgetfulness.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one.
Curse of Forgetfulness. Curse, Treachery. At the end of your turn, purge the top card in your discard pile. Okay.
So it comes into play under opponent's control.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it does not shuffle. The one that they debuted at KFC said at the end of their turn, shuffle their discard and purge the top card. This one
And
just purges the top card.
just says purge the top card. Yep. And I'm gonna make out the for the flavor text. It's a little bit obscured by the anomaly treatment, but it says, "I swear, I had my talking tray this morning." Nice.
And what house is that from?
It's in shadows. It's in
All right.
shadows. Very on theme for shadows. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lodon. Lodon.
Okay.
Another old favorite. 3 or more untamed card creatures in discard pile.
Bring back those more wolves.
Another more wolf. If there's like 12 more wolves
Okay.
plus the rest of the untamed,
Uh,
that would be cool too.
please show me a Shadows more wolf.
Ooh, this is kind of cool. I have a Maverick. First Maverick I think that we've seen so far.
Sweet.
Has Alpha.
Oh, okay.
Got to guess.
Gargantus Crapper.
United
Oh,
Action.
wow.
United Action's pretty fun.
Shadows. You have a couple Maverick United Actions now.
I do. So this is my second Maverick United Action. Yeah, very fun.
You're going to start a collection.
I might have to.
If anyone has Maverick United Actions out there, hit them up.
Yeah, there's only a handful that have been printed so far, which is kind of neat. I think it was like 5 decks with Maverick United Action, something like that. The Maverick rares are few and far between, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
Another Maverick, a Shadows Old Egad. Old Egad.
Interesting. Okay.
Mhm. Destroyed ward of each of Old Egad's neighbors, 1 power, 2 armor.
Okay.
Another Maverick. Okay, so there's our shuffling is pretty sloppy. Is pretty much what we're learning. What we're learning. But this is a Shadows Battlefield Evangelist.
Oh.
Yeah, so it
4 of these tonight we've seen.
maybe the first token maker.
I was going to say, I think that's the first time you've had a chance to make a Raider.
Yep. Not many raiders happening. Okay, cool. An Abyssal Sight with a Capture Pip. So very nice. Destroy friendly creature. If you do, look at your opponent's hand and choose a card from it. That
Nice.
player discards that card. Hand Cannon. Nice reprint there too. Upgrade. Creature gains skirmish, and after fight, move 1 from the creature to... Or from the creature this creature fights to your pool. Very cool.
Okay. Not bad.
Hobnobber, another old favorite from DT. Cephaloist.
Nice. Okay.
Okay.
Another creature to bring back with the Lodon.
Okay, that's fun. Lights Out.
Cool.
Nice reprint there.
Like Lights Out.
A Lupo the Scarred. Very fun.
All right. I'm liking your creature count in Untamed with the Hunting Witch. I'd say that's
Mhm.
pretty solid.
Yeah, definitely some cool creatures there. Nature's Call? I wouldn't say no to a Nature's Call. Under Pressure. Okay.
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 It's a pip.
It's a pip. We got a Bubbles. Play. Put an enemy creature on top of its owner's deck. I'll take it. A Dragnet from Unfathomable. Ember Pip. Play, return a creature in each neighbor that shares a house with it to their owner's hand. Setting up for your Emberlution, no doubt. Oh, Timoti the Damned. Very nice. We were just talking about this one.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Another token generator.
Stops them forging keys.
You don't have too many tokens, though, so...
Nope. And our very last card, quick draw. Very fitting. Is a Moorwolf.
Ah, we got 5. Wow. You have 10 untamed creatures,
Oh my
if I'm not
gosh.
mistaken. 5 wolves, a witch, a lupo, a cephaloist, missing one.
Grovekeeper.
Grovekeeper. 9.
Yeah.
It's a lot of wolves.
It's a lot of wolves. That's a lot of wolves.
Well, I don't think that deck's going to be winning any
Hmm.
Unchained events.
This is my my Unchained Reversal deck. You
Could be.
know, I don't know. The curse is fun. I'm glad to see the curse. I think that's the first one I've seen in person, which is pretty cool. Um, though I am not sad at all that you opened the spicier deck this evening by a long shot. I would say. Hmm.
I did. I'm pretty excited about that one. I'm gonna try to play it as soon as I can. Sleeve it up.
Cool. Right
Very
on. Right
cool one.
on.
Yeah. It's interesting to me that the Archon card does not have the token on it.
Oh.
How do you feel about that aesthetically? And just to compare it,
So I guess aesthetically speaking, you are giving prominence to the Archon itself, which is fitting for the Archon card.
yeah,
It also helps you pull the Archon card out of the deck if it gets shuffled in, maybe, and you don't have
yeah,
sleeves.
yeah.
uh,
Um, and you're never gonna put it face down. Like the reason that the rest of the deck has that is that if you put it face down, you can see which token it is.
right.
Um, but did you not tonight filled me in on this one? I never would have thought this. So if any of you got the token packages in the Game Found campaign, you may have been like me and you were surprised to see you had 36 copies of each token. I expected like 12, maybe 18, something like that. Got 36 of them, and I was like, "What am I going to do with these?" And first thing I thought was like, I could trade 18 for 18 and get like all seven houses pretty easily. And then Not Tonight was like, "No, you have to put them in clear sleeves, and then put that like on the back of your deck." And so in this deck here with the fish, I would put a clear sleeve, and in each sleeve I would put one of the fish tokens on one side and the card on the other. Um, Kind of blew my mind. Um, I don't think I'm gonna do that in practice, but it's a cool idea, like at least for casual gaming. But I don't think in a tournament. I mean, like there's a rule I think for opaque sleeves, right?
Yes, it won't fly at a tournament. Yep.
Yeah, kind of weird that like an official product like that couldn't use it in that manner in an official tournament.
Yeah, I suspect they were imagining you would lay the card on top, though it's rather than double them up in the sleeve. But it's a thing you do, and it's very cool. Very cool idea. Magic did print double-sided cards, or has printed double-sided cards for some time, and tournament goers are very used to like flipping the card around in its sleeve when you play it, and then you have that.
Hmm.
It's a little funky because you don't want to like as soon as you play a double-sided card, both sides are known in Magic, but you have to like awkwardly not show the face to your opponent, and then if you
Hmm.
want to check the face, it's a little awkward, maybe. Hmm.
Yeah, Star Wars CCG does have double-sided cards as well, but they all start on table at the start of the game, and everyone knows what the front and back are.
Yep.
They don't change.
Yep.
Um, So yeah, someone else I was talking to mentioned that they were kind of wondering out loud if the development of the token mechanic changed over time, and like maybe they had originally envisioned it just being like not the top card of your deck, but just like a random token that you would have. And
Hmm.
if that were the case, then having this separate token deck would also be very useful. But the fact that you have to stack it on top of another existing card is like the part that makes it a little bit um, tedious to manage. So
A little tedious. A little tedious. It'll be interesting to see how the kind of mechanics of it play out and how folks adapt to it. I feel like it's the thing that's going to feel super awkward for the first, I don't know, few events, and then folks will just kind of get used to it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think so too. I'm not too worried about it. I'm gonna try out the tokens though myself and place them on top of cards and
Yeah.
just see how long it takes me to get annoyed and stop doing that.
The other thing you have to worry about is then like hey, there's a token here and an upside down card over there. What's going on? I don't know.
Or like with Whirlpool,
Yeah.
and I have to like pass two cards over to you each turn instead of just
Ooh.
one.
Oh, interesting. So if you pass a token with Whirlpool, does your opponent get to look underneath it? Do you get to look?
Yes.
Okay,
So
cool.
I this kind of came up in my casual game I played with a local a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
Naturally.
Naturally, of course, I had to bring my double Whirlpool deck. It was literally all I had at the time. But we had a really fun game. He was playing that Mars deck I was telling you about earlier with the two artifacts that put all your Mars creatures that die.
Hmm.
And so there were two interactions rules wise that came up that we thought were interesting. One was yes, whenever I pass my token to him, he can look under it and see what it is. And the other one was my token and his token were with Mars, and he had that Mars artifact that said each time your Mars creature is destroyed,
Yeah.
it stacks. So he kept stacking my tokens, my Mars cards that were tokens underneath his artifact. And I believe the linking line had confirmed this too, is that they stay there until he tries to remove them. And then once you try to remove them, I believe they go to discard because they're not allowed to go back to his hand since they're my cards.
So what's the official status of them? What's the wording on that? They just they still on the playing field, but
I
underneath the
think I
thing.
think the technical term is purgatory. I
Okay.
don't know. I don't know. Um, I made that up. That's not true.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because I almost
It
would have
is. It is interesting.
I
Yeah.
almost would have expected them to go back to your hand as soon as they would have gone underneath the thing. But that's cool.
I don't think there's any reason that they would. Like it was a Mars creature when it was targeted, and it goes there, and cards can go there. It's not really like it's like an out of play state. So I don't really think it's anything. Yeah, I don't think there's anything against it being stacked there, and he could keep it there for as long as he wants. But as soon as he takes his Mars creatures back, that's when they get discarded. So
Huh. Huh. Yeah, definitely once they go back to hand. Um,
yeah,
I suppose if they're still in a visible state and they wouldn't, nothing that would cause them to stop being creatures, it makes sense. Weird. That's funky. That's really funky.
very funky. Yeah, it's like one of my first games I ever played with Winds of Exchange, and I'm having to figure out like this weird funky interaction.
Yeah,
Thanks to
whereas
Whirlpool.
thanks to Whirlpool and Chronophage going to be bringing some real interesting ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, wait for that Legacy Maverick, Chronophage, Whirlpool, Quixelstone deck. Then we're in business.
Yeah, someone was showing me a Legacy Heart of the Forest deck with Antiquities Dealer. Um,
Oh, damn. Really? That's a thing already?
I forget if
Didn't.
I think it was Dave C. I don't think it had a. I don't remember if it had a key sheet in it or not. I'll have to double check. But yeah, very cool.
Does he own it?
Mm-hmm. He opened it. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Already. It's funny how these things kind of gravitate to people. Um I think it was Ned Mike had one of his namesake decks that had Quixel King in the title, and it has a Quixelstone in it.
Does it really?
It does. Yeah, it's pretty unbelievable. Um, but I didn't get a Whirlpool deck, with my name in it. That would have been cool. Just saying.
Just saying, if you're listening, GG, if you're
Yeah.
listening, yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay.
All right.
I I had one of my namesake decks had triple future booster, which was kind of fun because future booster was my like uh, honorable mention. I think when we were talking about cards or top picks or something in one episode, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I think you had a hot take on Future Booster, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right. That's
You
right.
said it's your sleeper pick for the most underrated card.
Still is. Still is. I
Still
like
is?
it.
All
I
right.
like it with Navigator Ali. I think the token crafting, like the what's under my tokens crafting nature of it is kind of cool, and also the like let me stack the bottom of my deck for future turns is still pretty cool too. Yeah. So some utility.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right. Have we hit our bedtime?
We've hit our bedtime. I've hit mine
Yeah.
for sure.
I've hit mine. Yeah. Thanks
Cool.
everyone for sticking it out. Underrated card, Offering to Killigog. You are all about the Offering to Killigog, Ketzer. I think it's a pretty cool card too.
An annoying one to develop for TCO, as it turns out, because it's got two omnis, and choosing between them is awkward.
I had a similar thing come up in a game. I was playing, I think not tonight, where I had, I think it was Shadow Council adjacent to um, What's that one power Shadows creature that gives its neighbors action steal one? Oh no, it was a Monty Bank actually. It was a Monty Bank next to that Shadows creature, and it just said on the TCO prompt like action and action, and one of the actions stole three, one of the actions stole one,
Choose
and
wisely.
of course I chose the wrong one.
Yeah.
But you have no way of knowing, so I imagine the Omni part is probably going to be similar. You may have to add an extra prompt there.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how it netted out, but when you're like setting up the tests for the cards, you tell the test which prompt you're picking by its label, and so it's like choose the prompt that's called Omni. And I'm like, well, I kind of want
Hmm.
to discriminate or discern between the Omnis that are available. Yeah.
So wait, do you have automated testing?
Oh yeah, the TCO has lots of tests, lots of tests. Yeah,
That's super nerdy and cool.
very nerdy and cool. They take ages to run, so when you're making new cards, you tell it to only run certain ones at a time. But there are lots and lots of tests. Yeah,
Next up is Keyforge playing AI.
could be, could be.
Bot Russell.
But Russell, it's coming for you.
Bot Russell's getting pretty good from what I've seen.
You may have played it already. You don't even know.
I probably have. Yeah. Probably every week on this show. It's the only reason I lose to
Maybe you are Bot Russell.
you.
Yep.
Could be.
Bo T. Russell. I like it. All right. We'll sign off then.
All
Thanks,
right.
everybody.
Thanks for watching.
Bye, y'all.